Welcome back to Ulti-World Live. We're in a post-game press conference with coaches Mike Donardis and David Allison and Captain Noah Saul from Raleigh Ring of Fire. I don't want to beat around the bush and ask you straight out. It's been a few years of these tough semifinal losses. How does this one feel compared to the others? Is it a new feeling, or
Yeah, it's totally different than all the other losses. Yeah, it's just like, it's great. It's a great feeling. No, I mean, look, this stuff is like, it's different every time, and it sucks every time. And this one was tough because this was probably the best battle we had, and they played great. We made a couple key mistakes late, which is super unfortunate, but like, that wasn't a sloppy game by any means. And, Trent's play on Jack in the end of the game, it's like, that propels him to a win. And that team's incredible. And we had a battle and we lost. It sucks, and given the trend line, it sucks, but it's life. We'll be back.
Noah, same story on the field? You feel like you put the battle up that you wanted to put up?
Yeah, I mean, we played a good game for most of it, obviously, a couple mistakes that were crucial. And yeah, I mean, they're a good team. Their offense is tough to stop, just like ours. And at the end of the day, we couldn't quite get the one more that we needed. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks just like they all suck. But I'm proud to be on this team. I'm proud to be in the semis every year. So, fuck it. Sorry.
The defense had Sockeye on the back foot early in the game. Did you see any noticeable adjustments they made to start to try to get holds on you in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty successful with force middle most of the tournament. It was probably our go-to defense. And they did a good job adjusting in the second half of sort of hitting these like baby swings to hashes, and then they were able to get continuations off of that. And part of that is we were just a little bit too loose in between the handlers there, allowing them to get some sort of easy baby swings over there. And so then we tried to mix it up a little with some other looks, and we just weren't able to generate enough pressure to get that one turn that we needed. They played great.
Hey, Graham from Multiworld here. There are two notable UNC alumni, in Ben Snell and Nathan Kwan, that were playing for Seattle Sockeye, and that obviously they're familiar with a lot of the systems that you run and some of the offensive and defensive schemes that you have. Did you find that had any effect on the game? Were they able to kind of throw out some defensive looks that they knew might disrupt you all?
No, I don't think anything they did really rattled us too much. I think we made a couple simple mistakes late. I think the defenses that they ran give you the illusion of easy passes, and then at some point one of those easy passes isn't there, and that's how they got a couple of their late Ds. The scuba turn and then Jack not closing in on the other one. Those were both catchable, targets were open, but it gave us the illusion of them being open with the choice we made, and they got the D. Snell made a great play on the scuba, and Jack just, he didn't close because he was expecting just the thing to go to his breadbasket, and that's the whole point. Create the illusion of, the openness, and then it's gone. So I think if we, attack those or stay a little more disciplined, that doesn't happen. And that's not a product of, their scheme, causing the turn. It's more of us being a little lazy, and the laziness is what happens. If you saw how many holds we got in a row given the same systems in the first half, it's just that things tighten up, and you make a couple more mistakes when it's late in the game and there's a little more pressure. So.
We saw their zone on film, and we were wanting to play against it. We thought we would be able to chip it up and work through it, and for the most part we did. We just had a couple, close ones that they got at the end. So I don't think it was anything they did necessarily except, just be persistent. And, eventually we fell into the trap a little bit. But we were ready for that, and wasn't anything we hadn't seen before. And we were confident to go up against it and try and break right through it.
I would just add that Ultimate is both a physical and a mental game, right? And a lot of the schemes that we design ask players to exercise mental endurance, right? And their zone did a good job of testing our mental endurance. And There may have been some mental fatigue there late that caused some of the decisions where they look open, because you've seen it before, and they've trained you on that, and you're not running through the same progression necessarily that you would because of some mental stamina.
What happened on that last point after Austin took the injury sub?
They scored.
We just subbed, and I don't who fell down, Tim or somebody fell, and
Yeah, it looked like just a blown switch on the up line.
Yeah, it was on whoever was guarding JR. JR's defender fell. JR went up line, an extended up line, something that we've worked on a lot this season, trying to not be able to get a poach off the back of the stack. Unfortunate situation where everybody was locked in their guys, didn't see the extended up line. We definitely had a chance to get a block there.
What are you going to hang on to from this season to bring with you into 2020?
I addressed it in the huddle, but last season, after we ended our season, a lot of it was about, the emotional content of the team, right? It was feeling a little bit more, like rigid and more goal oriented, and we just wanted to make sure our team was, cohesive and cared about each other. We're socially together, and made sure there was a lot of love in the room when we had to go into these battles. And that's what I think, walking away from this, I think, obviously we're disappointed, but like something we can really we know we accomplished was that we enjoyed each other's presence, enjoyed the team more than I think we ever have. And it built a lot of love, and it built a lot of caring for, there's no finger pointing, there's no this guy messed up. Like, this is something where no matter what happens, we're in it together. And for future years, we're going to be in it together and battle as a team and make sure every person's relationship outside of this team is strong. So when we go to battle together, we know we're doing it for each other as much as ever.
Yeah, you brought up something that I did want to talk about, the changing of the guard in your team. It's been quite a certain amount of players have moved on, and others have taken different responsibility roles and have really stepped up for the team. And I think maybe this would be a good question for you. How have you seen the team change over the past year or two, or even more than that? And what sort of how has that had an effect on the team's gameplay and the team's social aspect with how they mesh together?
Oh yeah, a lot of the young guys on the team now are played together in high school and college and against each other in high school and college. So, they're all really cohesive and get along really well. And, they brought a fun, young, new energy to the team. And, we still have a couple of the, older guys sticking around to kind of bring that confidence and that swagger and kind of show the young bucks how we've done it for years, and they pick right up. And so, yeah, it's great. The rookies we get nowadays are all experienced Ultimate players. They're all super athletic. They're all college champions for the most part. So, we've got a lot of great young talent coming into the program, and every year they just get better and better. So it's just been a lot of fun to incorporate that and see the way they kind of change the team dynamic and bring their own flair and flavor to it, and it's been really fun.
You guys played a tremendous game out there. The team played really well despite the result. Do you feel like this was the best shot you've had at the final over the past couple of years?
For me, I think, every year since 2016 we've been expecting to win. I think this probably was, like Mike said, the most cohesive team we had, and we thought that gave us an extra edge this year. I think these last 2 years were probably two of the most talented teams Ring's had in a while. So, this was definitely a special year, and I think that that team cohesion and the vibe we had was really special, and we thought that was going to be what put us over the edge, and it just wasn't quite enough. But, this was definitely, been one of the best Ring teams that I've ever played on in my 10 years. So,
I haven't been a part of a team with as much investment in each other in a really, really long time than I did with the team that we had this year. And when you couple that with the immense amount of talent that each of the individuals in the team bring, then you have a championship team. And this is a championship team. We didn't win, but it's a championship team. And I think everyone understands that. And they'll be ready, come next year.
Obviously, there's a trend of the team struggling to get over this final hump. I imagine it's frustrating after it happening multiple times in a row. Is it the kind of thing that makes you feel like we have to go back to the drawing board and build something new, or is it we're so close and we have to make just small changes, just tweaks?
I think one of the biggest things when you're building into a championship is the experience. And, if you think about the timeline of UNC, for example, it took us a couple of knocks before we actually got there, right? We broke into the quarters, then we made the finals, then we won, which a lot of teams don't have that, that fortunate of a path. And if you look at our trend line, like, we weren't winning pools before last year. We were, the first year we made semis in 14 when I was coaching, the first year I was coaching, we finished last in our pool. And every year we've come out of that Thursday a little bit stronger. And this year we beat Revolver, and that was a mini hump. And, we battled like this Sockeye team, I think, played a better game than any of our other semifinal opponents. I think our other semis were pretty sloppy, and this was real clean. And to lose to this team is not a shot, or it's not a back to the drawing board. It's what we're doing is right. We're just not passing that hump as fast as most people would like. But you think about tons of teams. You think about Riot. You think about Molly Brown. It's like making semis 4 years in a row is hard. It's not an easy thing. And to do that and to make this incremental growth, we know it's going to happen. And maybe it takes 5 years, maybe it takes 6 years, but it's going to happen.
People know everyone.
Mike Donardis, Noah Saul, David Allison from Ring of Fire. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Ultiworld Live. We've got a post-game press conference with Seattle Sockeyes Dylan Freechild and Trent Dillon. I'm Edward Stevens. Guys, both of you came up with a few big plays each. What was it you were feeling that let you rise to the moment to win a battle in a moment when you needed to in that game?
We talk a lot about fearless energy defensively, and there were just a number of moments in that second half and even in the first half where I would make eye contact with some random person on my team, and there was just a level of intensity that I haven't felt yet this year, and I think that I tried to carry that into every time I was on the field. And obviously, it didn't happen every time, but I think that just thinking about how much I wanted it for our team, that helped me carry it through.
You had those couple of plays, the second one where you got up over Jack for the big block, and there was one earlier, I can't even remember if it was on offense or defense at that point. Was it you versus Jack again in the other end zone? Or was it?
The one earlier, Billy did a great job. They ran a dominator, and I just tried to
lay it out.
Sorry?
You tried to lay out after Billy.
Oh.
That big one that you laid out for.
Oh, Allen? I didn't get that, though.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did it feel good to get a second chance and come
yeah,
up big when the team
the first
needed
one was
it?
on Allen. That would have been great to get that one, but obviously I didn't. The second one, I don't know, like Jack's phenomenal. I obviously didn't really want to end up in that situation, having to go up, right? But I think I just got lucky. I took a jump and it was right there, and sometimes that's how it goes, so yeah.
And Dylan, Sockeye runs a really patient offense, but you keep finding ways to put yourself in an attack position within that offense. What's your mindset heading into Echo Point?
Just that. I've spent a lot of my career in this game, and having that nervous energy and wondering how to get it off my chest. And I think what I've learned over the years is just like with your legs, learning to attack and learning to shed that nervous energy. And I think I've played the sport long enough that I frequently end up in those situations. My team gives me the ability to end up in attacking situations. And so just being confident and being willing to work to get to that spot. But when the going gets tough, I know that my team has allowed me to make one or two unconventional cuts to put myself in a place that can alleviate some of the pressure.
And today, Bryce Dixon was right with you there on the attack. Do you want to say anything about the way he was playing tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Bryce has been he's the kind of the one change to our O-line. He came over, and Danny Kolinski retired, and Bryce has been steady all year, and I think teams underestimate his athleticism. I think teams underestimate his defense on the turn. I think you don't often see that kind of confidence with a player who either gets pulled over or someone who's kind of in that role that he plays next to Simon. But I mean, that guy reeks of confidence, and that guy has never seen a moment that he's not willing to tackle head on. And I think tonight a lot of people got to see that, and he's a rock for us.
Hey guys, Simon Pollock with Ulti World here. I've talked to both of you a number of times over the last few seasons as you've become a part of this team and become leaders on this team. And I'm really curious, how would you describe the change of energy as the two of you have sort of like grown into your roles and grown into the team? Dylan, you and I specifically talked about you trying to just like keep everybody up 2 seasons ago. How has this season been different energy-wise for the two of you?
I said that 2 seasons ago?
You did, yeah.
Oh, I tend to bounce around with my energy. I'll say a quick thing. I mean, our kind of mantra all year has just been like, keep pushing, keep diving, like it's gonna happen. And so, I mean, there was a low energy in the first half, but I don't think it was like incredibly rock bottom. It was obviously a little nerves, and they came out really showing that they had a lot of energy to put into the game. I don't think we really spoke anything at halftime of how to change that. We just understood that we were confident to just keep kind of knocking on that door and keep pushing and pushing. And I think it's less so about trying to keep people up and trying to talk confidence into people, more so about just telling people, hey, nothing's going to change. Like, it's going to come, and when it comes, it might not be something huge. It might not be like a huge break, but when we see a little crack, like, we just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, I think generally being like okay with a little bit of imperfection, not just on the field, but in terms of our energy and communication. Like, I had a moment with Dylan yesterday in quarters at halftime where I like screamed at him. Like we just screamed at each other about something pretty meaningless, right? Like, and it was intense, and like I regret it obviously a little bit, but like also it's like no big deal, right? He knows I'm fired up. I know I'm fired up. Water under the bridge, move on, and play a better second half. And that's not the only time that's happened this year. That's not the only time that's happened this Nationals. And I think of that kind of like extra added bit of resilience, knowing that like you can snap at your teammate and it's like all good. That's been helpful for us, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying you had a little Draymond KD moment there for anybody who's listening who's an NBA fan.
Yes.
I guess I want to ask one more follow-up on this. Again, like I think what you're talking about, Trent, with the energy, the resilience there, that seems different to me from what I've seen from this team in the last 3 seasons. It feels like you're able to take a couple of hits or make a couple of mistakes and then bounce back. Do the two of you feel like there's a difference there this year as opposed to previous years?
Definitely. I mean, I think this team has had a history of being high octane, quick. When they're on, it's an offense. It's an offensive clinic, and I think when you get used to playing or trying to live up to such perfection, when it's not there, it's really difficult to bounce back. And this year, obviously, we're still trying to keep that craft and still trying to have, an innovative offense where we're doing something that teams aren't quite expecting, but that also means that sometimes it's just not going to work. And I think, that's been the biggest change from my mindset. Simon, going off what Trent said, like Simon and I get into it at practice. I hold us to a high standard, and Simon is so even keel. And that's something that I've learned big time is like we can win ugly if we need to. And I think we really embrace that this year.
Getting back to the game at hand with Ring, there are some tough players on that team, tough defensive assignments. Was there anything in particular you guys were going into that game knowing you had to take away particular players that you knew you had to mark differently to try and shut down what they were going for?
Yeah, got a lot of respect for that team. So a couple unique things. They have like 5 players that are basically hybrids, right? They're going to go like Jack and Dylan and Searles Bow and Allen.
Eric.
Yeah, ET, right? Like those are a lot of guys that they could start in the handler set, or they could go deep. They could also huck. So that's one kind of problem, right? And then you got Henry Fisher, right? And like in terms of our scouting reports, he gets the most. He gets probably as much or more respect as any big in the game. So that was a challenge to find a way to back him, get the matchups for those other guys, and then also just not let him just get huge, easy unders. And then you got guys like Noah and Elijah, like real quick in the backfield, smart. They'll get the up lines if you play them too tight, right? So, you know, I don't know how he did it, but that's what they bring to the table, you know. And you guys know, you cover them. They're a really good team, and they're only going up, you know. Yeah.
One of the things I noticed with them is that they had really good size matchups with some of your players. You know, Simon and Matt are both very large players that can normally be pretty physically imposing, and they were able to bring players of equal size to kind of really press on them, and it you know, can be a little bit shaky sometimes when there isn't the same give that those players normally have. Was there any changes that had to be made to the offense to try and accommodate for the matchups that Ring provided?
Not necessarily any changes. I mean, we've worked on 1, 2, 3 different tweaks that we like to implement. You know, if they have an offside hand, they're sagging, right? If they have a bracket, host stack is an offense that creates for big cutting space, but it's an offense that creates for a lot of help from offside handlers and offside wings, and trying to be creative in how you flip those guys, how you flush players out, or how you just split a sag or a bracket rather, is stuff that we've worked on a lot, and when you're in the middle of a point, it's difficult. You can't call that. You can't call that out. You can't call a play. But just trying to intuitively move pieces to unlock that. So, you know, nothing big strategically to our offense, but recognizing coming off every point, communicating with each other about how are we going to kind of flip the script and figure out what they're throwing at us. And I think obviously we kind of got into a rhythm later in the second half, and we're a little bit more crisp.
One of the parts of this matchup tonight that I think speaks a little bit to the matchup you have on your plate for tomorrow is the way Jack Williams kind of worked y'all in the red zone. He did a really nice job there. And, you know, Machine have got Joe White and Keegan North and Kurt Gibson kind of playing that same kind of 3-man give and go weave game really well. What did you try to do against the Ring red zone tonight, and what are you going to try to do against Machine tomorrow?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, like that might
try
be
hard.
Yeah, right. I mean, like I don't think we had any specific kind of goal against the Ring red zone D. It was more just kind of our game. You know, I mean, like teams are really good, and like, you know, like you see this dude in red zone, it's kind of similar, right? Like sometimes they're gonna just work us. So, you know, there might be some adjustments. Maybe the coaches look at the film and have something we can do differently. I'll also note that it was really still tonight, you know, and just warming up, I was like, wow, my throws are looking good, you know, right? So, but obviously everyone's was, right? And and that changes the game in a way that we hadn't been ready for. So maybe some of those breaks early on in the tournament, like around breaks, the insides, would have been a little tougher. Maybe we need to tighten the clamp. Who knows what the wind will be like tomorrow, but that could have also played into it. I don't know. You got anything?
I mean, we rolled and switched off some up lines, and we had a little bit flat of a mark because they have some quick insides. But really, like Trent said, there's not a whole lot you can do when there's a well-oiled machine that you're going up against. You kind of just wait for a crack to show. And you take advantage, but when they're rolling, you know, a little bit of a flatter mark or a roll off of an upline isn't going to do a whole lot against the world-class players.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty that you guys will be thinking about tonight towards your game against Machine tomorrow. But in the meanwhile, kind of getting off topic with that, is there any significance to the red bandanas that you guys are wearing as a team?
Do you want to tell them?
Sure. There's no real significance. We just showed up to a practice once, and there was an unopened package of red bandanas.
Yeah, like 30 of them.
Like 30 of them.
Yeah.
So we decided we'd all put them on for the practice. This was like early July. No, this was after Coke-Up.
It was probably, like August or September.
Okay.
Or something, yeah.
August.
And DUI is probably taking it to the best line. DUI shirt, rocking the babushka.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a silly little thing. You collect culture items and fun little jokes across the season that try to make each year unique. And this happened to fall into our laps, and
Yeah.
in the form of a junior baseball team leaving it behind.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it.